Good morning, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101, and this morning I'm just going to give you a couple of, sound clips that I really want you guys to listen to. And again, I'm not here to make you guys not vote or to vote, but just to give you insightful information for you guys to make a very conscious decision, because we understand that this election is very important. I think every election is very important, whether you should vote or not to vote, and the reason why you should or should not. And that plays trivia to our decision making, especially if you are part of a certain demographic group. Okay, so everybody has their own special interests, and of course, here I speak about the Foundation of Black American Interest, and it's very important that we understand that information is very important in decision making. Information is very important in decision making, and a lot of us have short-term memories because I think it's structurally designed that they give us so much information constantly over the time that we tend to forget. But I want to make sure that we do not forget. So give me 1 second. I'm still setting up here. Give me 1 second. All right, I think I'm ready. So nonetheless, let me just, share with you guys this right here. Bear with me here. Okay. Let me share this. Make sure everything is good. Let me play this.
You have also been quite critical of Vice President Biden's policies on race, specifically on the issue of busing in the 1970s, having benefited from busing when you were a young child. Vice President Biden says that your current position on busing, you're opposed to federally mandated busing, that position is the same as his position. Is he right?
That is simply false. And let's be very clear about this. When Vice President Biden was in the United States Senate working with segregationists to oppose busing, which was the vehicle by which we would integrate America's public schools, had I been in the United States Senate at that time, I would have been completely on the other side of the aisle. And let's be clear about this. Had those segregationists their way, I would not be a member of the United States Senate, Cory Booker would not be a member of the United States Senate, and Barack Obama would not have been in the position to nominate him to the title he now holds. And so on that issue, we could not be more apart, which is that the vice president has still failed to acknowledge that it was wrong to take the position that he took at that time. Now, I would like to also talk about this conversation about Eric Garner, because I too met with his mother. And one of the things that we've got to be clear about is that this president of the United States, Donald Trump, while he has been in office, has quietly been allowing the United States Department of Justice to shut down consent decrees, to stop pattern and practice investigations. On that case, we also know that the Civil Rights Division, this is important, the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice said charges should have been filed, but this United States Department of Justice usurped, and I believe it is because that president did not want those charges to go forward, and they overrode a decision by the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice. Under my administration, the Civil Rights Division will reign, and there will be independent investigations.
Vice President Biden, I want to give you a chance to respond to what Senator Harris just said.
When Senator Harris was the Attorney General for 8 years in the state of California, there were two of the most segregated school districts in the country, in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. And she did not, I didn't see a single solitary time she brought a case against them to desegregate them. Secondly, she also was in a situation where she had a police department when she was there that in fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact was that she, in fact, was told by her own people, that her own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me that you, in fact, have been, the police officer did something that did not give you information that would exculpate your client. She didn't do that. She never did.
They're like kids.
So
first they was enemies, now they're friends.
The judge said enough, and he freed 1,000 of these people. If you doubt me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Vice President Biden. And Senator Harris, your response?
This is simply not true. And as Attorney General of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice, I am proud of the work we did, work that has received national recognition for what has been the important work of reforming a criminal justice system and cleaning up the consequences of the bills that you passed when you were in the United States Senate for decades. It was the work of creating one of the first in the nation initiatives around re-entering former offenders and getting them jobs and counseling. I did the work as Attorney General of putting body cameras on special agents in the state of California, and I'm proud of that work.
I want to bring in Congresswoman Gabbard. Congresswoman Gabbard.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was essentially Joe Biden and Kamala Harris warring against each other. And a lot of that stemmed from basically the term where a reporter said that Kamala Harris called Joe Biden a racist and how he was teaming up with segregationists and basically about the busing of, inheriting people of color, but black people with white people in his family in Delaware. Essentially, he said he didn't want those people to ride the buses with his kids. So basically calling him a racist, okay? And they were going back and forth about each other's record. Now, this next part of the clip is very, very important because this lady right here, okay, Senator Gabbard, I believe her name is, she lays it all out on the line for us, ladies and gentlemen. She absolutely does. And tell us about Kamala Harris. Now, Kamala Harris tried to shame her because she's like, oh, you're just on stage saying a bunch of fancy things. But what I want you to think about is her last comments, she did not denounce. She tried to speak around the talking point. So just keep your ears open, okay? Because she's going to attack Senator Gabbard, and Senator Gabbard is not going to attack Kamala Harris. She's going to speak on the record of Kamala Harris. Very, very important stuff. So a lot of times, when they have that stage present, we can kind of get tied up in the drama. Don't get tied up in the drama. Listen to what both senators are saying and how one is speaking on the other person's record while Senator Kamala Harris is speaking about the person's character. She's speaking about Senator Gabbard's character, not her record. You are judged on your record of what you have been doing, okay? Not what you're talking about on stage. I'll let you hear for yourself, okay? I'll let you hear for yourself. You make your own decision.
You took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence.
She laughed when they asked if she smoked marijuana, but she kept people locked up.
Freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Senator Harris.
My entire career, I have been personally opposed to the death penalty, and that has never changed. And I dare anybody who is in a position to make that decision, to face the people I have faced, to say, I will not seek the death penalty. That is my background. That is my work. I am proud of it. I think you can judge people by when they are under fire, and it's not about some fancy opinion on a stage, but when they're in the position to actually make a decision, what do they do? When I was in the position of having to decide whether or not to seek a death penalty on cases I prosecuted, I made a very difficult decision that was not popular to not seek the death penalty. History shows that, and I am proud of those decisions.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm talking about, okay? So again, she goes on to bashing Senator Gabbard when she points out her record, and then she talks about how, Senator Gabbard, you're just making fancy speeches on the floor, talking to the Senate and to Congress, but you really haven't done the work. And see, Senator Gabbard was talking about her record, how she was, she used the term, you locked up the majority of black and brown people. And that's what people don't understand. People are foregoing Kamala Harris' record, right? We already understand the 1994 crime bill, the 1986 anti-drug act that Joe Biden was a part of, him and Bill Clinton, that locked up mostly black people. We understand that. See, but we forget about when Kamala Harris was accused of calling Joe Biden a racist, then pointed out that Joe Biden was working with segregationists who were racist, how he said certain things about not his kids riding the bus with those people, them people, right? Then Nolan Baptiste, thanks for pointing that out, that Joe Biden was accused many times of touching women without their consent that made them uncomfortable. I mean, him and, again, Donald Trump are in the same boat, ladies and gentlemen. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. But we tend to forget, and someone puts this responsibility on Black Americans that we have to go and vote. No, we don't. Okay? I know I've been beating the narrative for quite some time now, but that's our power. That's our power. And I got another clip for you guys, the clip I was looking for yesterday, and a lot of guys seen it, but I love to view it and view it and view it and view it so we understand. When you go vote for whoever you're voting for, we understand that the Republican Party do not pander as hard as the Democratic Party. Let me tell you why very quickly. The Republican Party won the presidency without the majority of black voters. 86% of us voted for Hillary Clinton. Okay. 86% voted for Hillary Clinton. So the other percent voted for Donald Trump, maybe, because there are black Trump supporters. So the Republican Party never really panders to black people. Like, we can win without your vote. But the Democrats pander to us, but they never give us tangibles. But if you go on Joe Biden's website, as I broke down yesterday, if you go watch that 2-hour special, okay, it's like a movie. It's a 2-hour special, but I literally break down the platinum plan, the Lift Every Voice plan, and also the contract with Black America. Very, very good to see. Now, I gave you those sound clips. Let me show you one more. Let me let you hear one more, so you guys do not forget what we are getting. Listen, what we are getting specifically for black people. Now, let me point out one more thing. We need to stop calling ourselves minorities. I was going through Joe Biden's plan for the Jewish community. When I went through the plan, the word minority was one, but it was separate from Jewish Americans. Do you understand what I'm saying? It was separate, kind of like when he was talking about minorities including African Americans when it came to Lift Every Voice plan. But when he was talking to the Jewish community, he said Jewish Americans and minorities, not including words. Words mean so much, okay? So Jewish people do not consider themselves a minority. They consider themselves a majority, not because of the amount of people they have, because of the amount of power they have. And as black people, we should no longer consider ourselves a minority. What is the root word of minority? Minor, meaning young child, meaning young person. That is what you consider yourself when you consider yourself a minority. Well, let me tell you, doesn't matter where we are on the places of this earth, black people are major, which is the root word of majority. We are major. There's more black people in the world, more, I hate to say this term, people with dark skin, okay, in the world than anybody else. People with African blood than anybody else. So we are the majority. We are major. We are a big thing. So let me go ahead and stop rambling here. I'm going to let you hear this for yourself. Let me pop up something right here. Give me 1 second. You might hear some sound really quickly. Let me see this really quick. I'm going to make sure you guys hear this in its entirety. Just setting up a little bit right here. There we go. Make sure I get a good old picture of Senator Harris. Because the picture I'm about to show you while I play the video clip, it kind of goes hand in hand in who we're dealing with, okay? So let me show you really quickly. Give me 1 second. All right, there we go. Got that set up nicely.
Do you support reparations for black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination and segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, black people have not.
Black people.
And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family.
Give people, not black
credit,
people.
which will benefit and uplift 60% of black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at
the question was, Kamala, was it a
reality of who will
particular plan
benefit
that
from
affected the
certain
African American
policies,
community?
when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities. And we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I don't need to show you guys any more information except one more thing that I'm going to share with you guys, because again, ladies and gentlemen, time and time again, I just want to point out, this is a financial channel, and believe everything I show you equals economics. If no one's going to give you nothing for your vote, but they offer everybody else, they offer the Asians, the Native Hawaiians, the Pacific Islanders, the Jewish community, the Muslim community, the Catholic community, the Hispanic community, tangibles and resources and funding and policies, and we get nothing. All of ours is tied up in the word minorities and tied up in the word of people of color. That is what we get. And you know me, ladies and gentlemen, I got to share another video for you, because again, I want to show you, how I feel about when these people do these things to us. Okay. And I think it's very important that we have to be very, very strong in a particular area of our bodies. Okay. We have to be very, very strong in a particular area of our bodies. And there's only one graphical representation that I can show you for you guys to totally understand what I'm getting at. And I'm going to show this video. You've seen this video before, but I need to show it one more time. And this is a video. And this is how we have to be, because every 4 years, this is what happens to us. And we've been taking it just the way these gentlemen have been taking it. And I think we're trained enough now not to allow to be tricked and fooled by either political party and hold our power chips until they offer us some tangibles and some damn reparations. Okay, here we go. Ah, yes, to the nuts. Can't help it. I can't help it. The video is so addicted to me. That's how I feel every time somebody say, "Hey man, you going to vote?" It's like getting kicked in the nuts and just taking it. Like, yeah, I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote. This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn money and you make the decision, guys. Get kicked in the nuts and take it, or just hold your power chips. I'm out.